there, and her husband will be there too.
Yeah, and we'll have 9 other translators from Agua Viva, so I think it'll be pretty good. At this time, we're going to have Louis come up. And so Louis is going to do some worldview training, and then after that, we'll break up into teams.
All right, so this is exciting. I'm just really surprised that there's so many of you here. This is tremendous. So what I'm going to do is a little exercise on worldview training. And so what's hoped for in this is that we're going to go to Mexico and we're going to serve, and I think that's all great. But also there's kind of a larger purpose in this. And what we'd like to see is God's kingdom really to kind of expand, and that we would see God work through the service that we do there. And so I'm going to do a short passage. I have a few things in the other room that I'd like you to go through, and hopefully this won't take too long. We'll try and get it done quickly. So I'm going to read Luke 5, 1 through 11. This is a very familiar passage to you. It's when Simon was first called to become a follower of Jesus. One day as Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret with the people crowding around him listening to the word of God, he saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down the nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and we haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." When they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish and the nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this, he fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken, and so were James and John, the son of Zebedee, Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid, from now on you will catch men." So they pulled their boats up on shore, left everything, and followed him. So in this passage, we're looking at Simon. And Simon, his worldview was really, at least towards Jesus, that Jesus seemed to teach interesting things. Jesus was not a fisherman, and Peter respected him. I mean, I think he called him master, and so he had a general respect for Jesus. And Simon was kind of a captive audience. If you notice that Simon had to bring Jesus into the boat, so he's sitting in the boat with Jesus teaching, so he was a captive audience. He had heard Jesus' teaching pretty much, and he thought, okay, this is pretty good, but he was just kind of listening to him. And even a miracle in his own house didn't really change Simon. We read in Luke 4 that Jesus went to Simon's house and healed his mother-in-law. And that didn't really have a big impact on Simon. He says, "Oh, that's great, thank you." And then we also read that even when the demons were saying that Jesus was the Son of God, Simon didn't really react. So I always thought, if I saw a miracle, a real, honest to goodness, no kidding miracle in front of my eyes, that would just kind of seal it for me. That I would, say, yeah, Jesus is definitely the Son of God. And that kind of occurred in Simon's house, but it didn't really change him. But what did change him was when Jesus entered into Peter's world, which was the world of fishing. So what happened? He tried to catch fish all night with no success. He knew Jesus wasn't a fisherman. It was the wrong time of day to go fishing. And yet they caught such a large number of fish that both boats began to sink. So I always thought it was just one boat, but it's actually 2 boats worth of fish at the wrong time of day, and they started to almost sink. And not only was Peter astonished, so it wasn't just Peter, it was James and John who were also astonished, because all 3 of them became disciples. And I think one thing that is key to this, which we heard in today's sermon, is that Peter had a humble heart. I mean, he actually listened to the carpenter to go out into the water at the wrong time of the day to go catch fish. And yet he did do it. And so I think that's very important. The result of this is that Peter and his partners left everything. They followed him, and they set off to catch men. So that was a dramatic change. It wasn't the fact that he healed his mother-in-law, that these demons were telling Jesus that he was the Son of God. But it was the fact that actually God entered into Peter's worldview, his world of fishing, and then suddenly he realized, oh wow, I'm a sinful man. Depart from me, because of the fact that Jesus has entered his world. And so so the key question is, well, is this just an isolated example, or has this occurred many times? Well, as you look at it, if you remember Gideon was real weak, right? He was kind of a person who didn't, he was from the weakest clan of the weakest family in the clan, and yet God called him to be a great warrior, and God worked with him in performing signs to help build him up so that he could be a great warrior. We see it in Naaman. So if you remember Naaman the Syrian, so Naaman, he wanted to be healed of his leprosy, and he expected Elijah to come out, call on the name of the Lord, wave something over him and heal his leprosy. And yet Elijah had just sent his messenger and said, just go wash in the Jordan 7 times. And Naaman's pride almost affected him, prevented him from being healed, because he was raging mad afterwards. He says, look, I expected you, in my worldview, for you to come out and take care of me and heal me. But that's not what happened. Actually, Elijah just sent his messenger and says, go jump in the Jordan and be healed. And yet, because his servants, Naaman's servants, actually told Naaman, look, Naaman, you would have done greater things than if he had told you to climb a mountain or done greater things. This isn't that hard. Just go do it. And so he did it, and he was healed. So his pride almost prevented him from being healed, but he did get healed. And again, that's another example of God breaking into someone's worldview that they were not used to and changing them. We look at Nicodemus. Nicodemus had, so you got to give Nicodemus some credit. He's a teacher of the law. He's among Pharisees who just completely had no belief in Jesus and didn't want anything to do with him. But Nicodemus was in some sense a little humble. He said, I'm seeing miracles. This isn't normal. I got to go find out. At night, I'll go talk to Jesus. And so at night, he's talking to him, and Jesus is explaining to him what it means to be born again. And so again, Nicodemus' worldview had to change because Jesus had explained to him what it meant to be born again. But he had that element of humility in doing that, even though he had to go at night. And then finally, we saw Saul become Paul, right? God had to directly break into Saul's worldview, which was persecuting Christians, and change that directly. And God had to humble Paul with blindness for 3 days. And so, again, we kind of see this element of humbleness plus a breaking of someone's worldview, God entering into their worldview. So these are biblical examples, but what about today? So, is this still valid? So I'm going to have you meet 5 people today. And they're modern people. They're next door. You're going to read about them. I'm going to have you fill out a chart. And this chart it asks you who they are, what position they have, what was the cultural worldview that they were in, what was the new worldview that they learned, what changed their worldview, and what was the impact of their worldview. Okay? So there are 4 stations set up there. I will set up the 5th station here. I would like you to count off 1 to 5, and then I will assign you which station you go to. Okay? So, Arvin, can I start with you?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lawrence? 5. Jeremy? 1.
Who is that? Okay. 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 Did I get you?
No.
I need
one. I need one.
Okay, you need 1 and 2. You're at 2.
I'm a 2.
3.
4.
5. Okay.
1,
2.
3.
4.
5.
1, 2, 3.
4. 4.
Did I get you?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I said 3.
Okay, 3, 4. Oh, okay, keep your.
I need a number.
A 3. You're.
I 3. No, she said 3.
I'm sorry. You're at 3. You're at 3. You're at 3. 3. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, I don't know if I have enough, but I hope I do. What I'd like you to do is take this chart, go meet the people, if you're a 1, okay, so let's do this. If you're a 1, look for the wine bottle. If you're a 2, look for the baseball and the mitt. If you're a 3, look for the files and the badge. If you're a 4, look for the football. If you're a 5, wait here, and I'll get it set up, okay? So be very quick. So you need to get one of these, and if I don't have enough, you'll have to share. But it's kind of a group activity, right?